Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. I'm your host, Matt DeWolf, editor-in-chief of Car Wash Magazine, and we're coming to you live today from Minneapolis, Minnesota in Car Wash Magazine studios. I just wanted to say that because it sounds fun. So you guys just got to see a little bit of an explainer video there about how this linear technology for Mark 7 works. We're going to dive into that a little bit later and see what an installation in the United States looks like, and hear a little bit from Frank Nuchereno from Hello Car Wash. But first, we've got a few things we want to talk about. So right now, outside here, it's in Minneapolis. It's starting to get a little chilly, so the leaves are starting to turn. That means it's fall, right? So fall means lots of things: pumpkin flavored and an abundance of yard work. But it also means that the holidays are coming, and so everybody in this industry is probably gearing up for how are we going to tackle the holidays? What are we going to do from a marketing perspective? How does that look? Guess what? Next week, we've got a really special episode of this program. We've pulled in three fantastic marketing minds in this industry from an operator side, and we're going to talk all things holiday marketing. So put on your patient hats for that, and let's get into it next week. If you've got some questions around holiday marketing that you want answered, whether it's about digital strategy, whether you're trying to figure out whether or not you should do that haunted Halloween tunnel, let us know. Shoot me an email, mdewolf@carwash.org, and we'll make sure we talk about that for you next week. So tune in then. The other thing I want to make sure that everybody realizes is that just like you all, we also have members, and members matter a whole lot to us, and so we appreciate your support. Your membership helps us do lots of things, and with any luck, your membership also helps you do lots of things because of the benefits you get from being part of the International Car Wash Association. But I could say it all day long. Let's hear from one of our friends, Nick Lopez.
Hi, my name is Nick Lopez, and I'm president of Bubble Bath Car Wash here in San Antonio, Texas. And since the beginning that I got into this business, I became a member of the International Car Wash Association. I'll tell you the truth, for the first 5 or 6 years, I didn't really participate all that much. I'd go to conventions, I'd see a few vendors, maybe a couple of competitors from town, but that's about all I did. Then I had the pleasure of going to the Notre Dame Executive Management Institute, and it changed my entire perspective about ICA. Not only did I make incredible friends there, but I really got to know the leadership within the ICA. And what they did was provide me with more profound resources than I'd gotten really before anywhere else. They treated me like family and brought me into their circles to help me grow as an owner. So when I think about ICA and what it does is it really brings us as owners together, not only to collaborate, but also to advocate for us so that our local municipalities will know that we stand together when it comes to how we operate within this country. If I could think of one word that now describes you within ICA, it's active. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right, so there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Nick Lopez telling you what ICA membership has meant to him. Like I said, membership in ICA helps us do lots of things to bring this community together. Everything from, the magazine, maybe this program, and also the Car Wash the Podcast program that we do. So make sure you, speaking of Car Wash the Podcast, make sure you check that out anywhere that you consume your podcasts. For easy listening, go to carwashthepodcast.com, and you can listen to the latest episode there. This week on that program, we've got a special interview with our friend AJ Bornhorst from California Hand Car Wash in Georgia. So yes, that's California Hand Car Wash in Georgia. AJ is the general manager there, and we get a little bit of an insight into what he loves about the industry, how it's turned into a career for him, and just kind of how he takes his love of cars to the next level to bring great customer service. So speaking of AJ, let's hear from him. Why not?
Just especially having people talk about, hey, you gotta check out this new car wash. It's like one of my good friends, she told me, she's a hairdresser, she says, I'm super picky about my hair, which is why I cut hair. You're super particular about your car, which is why I only take my car to you, because you have pride in it. That's what we try and do. We try and treat our customer's car as if it was my car, because for me, when I get up in the morning, you know, I start my car and it's clean, spotless inside and out, like, I feel good, and that's, you know, what I try and deliver, you know.
All right, everybody, if you're just joining the program, I am your host for Car Wash Magazine Live, Matt DeWolf, editor-in-chief of Car Wash Magazine. We are talking today about all things car wash, but specifically we're going to be talking about linear technology, and we're going to take a visit to Hello Car Wash with Frank Nuchereno. So stay tuned for that. That's coming right up. You were just watching a clip from AJ Bornhorst, who is the latest guest on Car Wash the podcast, and we've got another reason for showing you that clip. AJ turned car washing into a career. ICA is trying to help people do that and make their next career moves everywhere in this industry. So careers.carwash.org. If you're looking for your next big thing, if you're looking for good people for your wash or for your company, go there, check that out. Still getting free listings up until October 1st if you're on the employee seeker side. So make sure you give that a look. Careers.carwash.org. If for all the females in the industry, we do have an offering for you from the Women's Leadership Experience umbrella of ICA. So normally we would do this event in person and have a great program for you all, but this year COVID makes that a little bit more challenging. And so we've partnered up with University of Notre Dame to put on the Women's Leadership Certificate Program. So make sure you're checking that out. Engineered to be for all the up-and-coming female leaders in your industry or in your business, and so make sure you apply for that. That deadline is coming up October 15th. All right, friends. You may remember this, you may not, but this is a fun story from our friend out at Splash Car Washes, Mark Curtis.
Started one evening. It was a cold, wintry night. We were just about to close. I was in the office, and it was about 10 to 6, and all of a sudden I hear the equipment turn on as if somebody was going to get their car washed. And I was a little surprised because the snow was swirling outside, but didn't really think much of it and went back to work. And about 2 minutes later, one of the guys comes into the office yelling, screaming, Mark, come quick, come quick. And I go, well, what is it? He says, no, come quick, this guy's crazy. So I go to the back of the wash, and there's this guy screaming and swearing up a blue streak, words I've never heard before. And he's telling me that we've broken his mirror when he went through the wash. And I was trying to get him to calm down, and he just kept swearing at me. I said, listen, I'm the only guy that can help you here. If you don't stop swearing at me, we're done. So he calmed down for a second. I told him, let's go into the wash and let's go through the process to see if there was something that was wrong with the equipment. And because I was pretty convinced we hadn't broken his mirror. Well, he started swearing at me again. I said, that's it, we're done. So he starts walking to his truck, and he turns and he looks at me and he goes, you'll get yours. And he drives off into the night. So the next morning, we shut down that night. The next morning we're opening up, and we open from the front of the building, the entrance to the wash, to the back. And I was in the office getting the cash ready for the register, and all of a sudden the same employee from the night before comes running into the office and goes, Mark, come quick. And I go, now what is it? So we get to the back end of the wash, and there, 2 inches outside the back door, the back garage door, was a boulder. Not a rock, a boulder. This thing had to be 4 feet high and 6 feet wide and by 3, and it was huge. And I stupidly thought that, maybe if I got 15 guys, we could shove it out of the way. It probably weighed several tons. So I'm going, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And it was blocking the exit to the car wash, so we couldn't open. I call the police. One of my buddies who's a cop shows up. He falls out of the cop car laughing. So he's taking pictures. He takes pictures of us on the rock, next to the rock. We take pictures of him on the rock. And I call a contractor buddy of mine. I said, listen, you got to help me out. You got to send one of those big payloaders down and help me move this rock. And he goes, really? I'll send down I said, no, one of those things with the tires as big as I am. He goes, oh, you have a boulder. And so sure enough, he brings it down. He moves the boulder out of the way, and we get operational. So we're operating maybe, 8:40 or so. We usually open at 8. And sure enough, if the guy in the pickup truck doesn't go driving by and he's got this big smile on as he drives by, and then all of a sudden he realizes that the wash is open, and the face just disintegrates into this scowl as he drives on. Never saw him again, but we were open for business.
Hey everybody, all right, so that was Mark Curtis sharing a fantastic story about the time he was stuck between a rock and a hard place and used a little help from his friends to get him out of that jam. So if you have a great car wash story, and I know you all do, I want to hear them. Record yourself telling me that story, and we'll get it on the program. If you are the first person to send me a video that we use on this show, I've got a swag pack for you. I will be sending you swag. That's a little different from normal. Normally what I'd like to do is gather things on my swag cam, and so you can see swag cam here. We're still sending me swag, but I will send you swag if you do that video. So, we're getting some great stuff there, piling up, overflowing on the swag cam. Super excited about that because I love swag. You should love swag too. All right, here is everyone's favorite part of the program. I know it's mine. We got jokes. This week's joke is a good one because I said so. Why do chicken coops only have 2 doors? Well, because if they had 4, they'd be a chicken sedan. Okay, guys. All right. I know. They're not all good, but hey, words do matter. If you've got jokes, send them my way at mdewolf@carwash.org. And without further ado, let's take a look at Hello Car Wash, coming to you from Texas. All right, everybody. Without any further delay, here is Frank Nuchereno. Frank, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Pat. Really appreciate being here.
Hey, so everybody just got to look at your first location, your baby, so to speak, the Garland location. Tell us a little bit just about that location and what's going on there.
So we built that location in 2018 and opened up right around Halloween, October 2018. And I would say that area, the piece of land, I will say will always be like an A+ piece of land because it's centered on 2 streets, on 2 busy streets, Shiloh and Garland Road. But it's in a fairly industrial area that is getting gentrified and getting rebuilt with retail and homes. And we're kind of on the front end of that. So they required us to build a very nice looking building. And so we have I think a really great looking wash there. And we look forward to more residential density getting to the area.
Yeah, it is a beautiful wash. I love all the brick, but you're saying that was maybe pushed on you a little bit, is what you're saying.
It was pushed very hard. The city planner did most of the design work, it seemed like, at the end.
Oh, that's funny. Well, sometimes that's how it goes, right?
That's right.
Well, let's back up a little bit though. So before you started getting into car washes, what were you doing? How'd you end up here?
So, Matt, I started off practicing law, and then I represented some people in the apartment industry, bought some apartments. Then I got into the hotel business. We built some hotels and got out of that in 2001 and got into land development, and got kind of stuck in land development when things started coming down in the late 2000s. And I made up my mind I was going to get back into a cash flow type of business. And I started looking at different opportunities. I went to the Las Vegas, and I went to just for a half a day, I flew in and I went to a new investor seminar that was sponsored by Sonny's at the International Car Wash Association. I was so impressed by how sincere and nice everybody was. And it reminded me when I was a kid, and my dad was in the restaurant business. So I think after going to that trade show, I made my mind I was going to start looking at the business a little bit more seriously. And I went back to the trade show the next 2 years before I really made the commitment to buy some land and get into the business.
Well, and you were, we've talked before, you spent a lot of time just trying to get someone in your area to talk to you, right? And you got a lot of collaboration from that. We've talked on this program several times about the people in this industry and how collaborative everybody is. That was true for you too, right?
It was the part that really won me over is I went to the Sonny's new investor seminar, and then I met up with Big Man Washington, Dallas, and Keith Stuman, and those guys. Everybody at Sonny's and everybody at Big Man, they were really helpful. And then I met a bunch of people that had car washes, so I knew this was what I wanted to do. And then when I started looking at different manufacturers, I realized that there were a lot of great car wash manufacturers out there, and I wanted to try to find something a little unique. And when I heard that there was this linear technology, I went out to Toronto, and I met with Fred Michial, who put the first SL2 in Toronto. And I bet Fred spent an hour with me just showing me how the car wash was going to work, and went over all the details he learned when he was in Germany. So after I left Toronto, I made up my mind that that's what I wanted to do. It was kind of a last minute thing because I was pretty committed to going a different direction until I really got introduced to the SL2.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What was it about the linear technology in the SL2 that was really interesting to you? What drew you in?
Well, being in different business in the past, especially hotels, you get nervous about getting into a commodity market where you're strictly competing with your management, or maybe your location's better. I just wanted to find something that was a little unique about the equipment. And so when I was visiting car washes, there were two things that stuck out to me: that most equipment was having a difficult time washing the back window of SUVs, and the drying experience in many of the washes I visited was causing like the wipers to pull up, and I was looking for something that may be a little bit better experience at the drying end of it. So the SL2 met both those things because the linear technology, as you're driving through the tunnel, the top brush with the sensors, as you're passing the top brush, it follows you and rolls back on the back of the car. And then when you get to the dryers contour around the vehicle. So there's a lot less horsepower. I think we've got 45, 50 horsepower in Garland, and the cars come out really dry. But with the machine being contoured around the car, you don't need that big burst of air that you need in most situations.
Well, but what's the customer reaction been like? Because I know that customers are pretty used to going through a tunnel and seeing the big blowers and having those hit the vehicle, but this is a little different. I mean, it's like it feels a little bit like you're going to have a collision, right?
It does, and it was we had to add some verbiage on the on the dryer that comes down to contour around the car, because a few people told us they were nervous to see the first time they went through, all of a sudden this big piece of equipment coming down, forming around their cars. So we basically put up a sign telling them that, everything's going to be fine and just keep the car neutral. And after people experience that the first time, they love it because their kids get a kick out of it. The kids will watch the equipment go over the car, up through the sunroof, through the back. And it's overall really nice, much more quiet experience than you would have in typical dryers.
Yeah, that's fascinating. We all know that it's hard for consumers to really pay attention to signs, right? And whether they're trying to guide themselves onto the belt or whether it's keeping the car actually in neutral, that's a challenging thing. But I'm glad that you're not breaking a bunch of windshields, so that's good.
Well, that's right. It's a little disarming the first time you go through.
That's funny. Okay, so you did that in Garland. You've since opened more locations. What do those look like? What are you doing different there?
So, I originally intended to use the SL2 on each of our locations because my focus has been on finding urban locations with a lot of barriers of entry, difficult pieces of property to build on, either for environmental reasons or whatnot. The site I'm at right now, we took we started off with a less than a quarter acre of land. We built over a creek, and we now have 8/10 of an acre. And then we have a storage building behind that. We use the parking lot for the vacuum space for our car wash, but it's a 190-foot tunnel. And we stayed with all of our vendors, STI. We used AutoVac for our dryer because we found the AutoVac dryer was very similar to the SL2 dryer, but we found we couldn't really use the SL2 in this location because the one drawback with the SL2, and Ralph Nasca told me this from the very beginning, is throughput. So our wash in Garland, I don't feel comfortable running it at more than 85 or 90 cars an hour. That's the absolute max for us to get and do a really good job washing cars.
Yeah.
Because the equipment needs to reset.
Sure. It's moving along the line with them. So yeah, it's not going to do any good if that car gets in there before the equipment's there, right?
Yeah, that's right. So when we came over here, we've got the belt's 172 feet. We've got the belt running at 160.
Okay.
We use that dryer that from AutoVac that it's not linear, but it forms around the tunnel on an arch, and it's closer to the vehicle. And it was the closest thing I could find, the SL2. And we're having good results with that, mostly because I think the part I didn't spend enough time on. I tell everybody that asks me about this is understanding the importance of the water and chemicals. So our chemical guys, Dealer Industries, and Bryant Reuter at SoapRite. My goodness, Bryant has been just fantastic to work with.
Yeah, and that's been the thing all along, right? I mean, you are obviously the equipment has to be good, and you have to be pleased with the product, but you are making a lot of your decisions based on the people, right, and the people that you get to work with.
Yeah, I think after. And you learn this on every business. You spend a lot of time designing a hotel room, the front of an apartment, but usually you're successful based upon the people you have working there. And before I pulled the plug to get into this, I spent an awful lot of time going over to these Tommy Terrific washes in Dallas that are run by Tom Miller. In fact, Tom was incredibly patient putting up with me sitting at his washes, watching as much as I did. But I learned, this guy was the best operator, I think, in the city of Dallas. And I wanted to see what his people were doing. And I wanted to see how he was doing things. And I'll tell you, after I spent time there, I realized how tough a business it is. And those washes were successful because you'd see Tom walking around with a towel in his hand, helping the guys dry cars and making sure things were going right. So you can have all the best equipment and everything else in the world, but if your people aren't dedicated and you're not dedicated to doing it, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's a recurring theme, and I'm glad that you've picked it up, because that is what is making you successful. It's what makes every operator who's doing a good job successful. I want to talk though on the people side. You do a little bit. You do something that's a little bit different from what we've talked about on the program. You very much make the employees at your locations the stars. Talk a little bit about what you do there and how you kind of really get them to own that and be the face of the wash.
So I knew I wanted to grow the business, and I also knew from my previous experience, each business is as good as the person who's the champion, who's the leader on site, and the people you hire. So the first thing I did is we put up a big sign before you go into the tunnel, and I have pictures with the names of all of our people, with the manager at the top, and everybody with a good picture, a big sign that, so when you're pulling to the tunnel, you could see the people that work there, their name. We work with Fresh Lime, and we ask you to text us and give us reviews, and they're able to, through that text, pick up the name off the sign and give people individual attention. And then we do a lot of community events. We're doing a community event right now outside my office with a children's group in Vickery Meadow. And our managers, I don't get in between them and those groups. I'll have, we'll set up the event, we'll help them run it. But we have our managers get very involved with these community groups, and we pay our people. We give them 5 days a year paid holiday, not holiday. We pay them 5 days a year to go actually dedicate some time working in the community outside the car wash. So as a result of that, we're working with a really great group in Garland, Texas, Good Samaritans, and they just recently asked the manager of our car wash to join their board, and I was so proud of the fact that they did that, and so proud of the manager that he's done such a fantastic job that they would want him to join their board.
Yeah, you talk about a great experience from just a professional level, right? Being able to and for that manager to have that experience, build those relationships, work in the community, and then be able to be rewarded by being asked to serve on a board. That's fantastic. That's really, really cool stuff.
And it makes it a lot more fun, Matt. Once you're doing those kind of things, it makes it more than a job. It makes you feel like you're part of your community, giving back a little bit.
Well, yeah, and then you're gonna give more to your company, to the organizations. You're just gonna give more and be happier, and then there's no turnover at that point in the game.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. We probably pay a little bit more than the market, but we've had almost no turnover, and we've been able to attract some really good people. And I think they've enjoyed the time with us. And I know I've really enjoyed working with these young people, because it makes me feel a lot younger than I am.
That's funny. Hey, Frank, I'm gonna let you off the hook here and let you get back to the business of washing cars in just a minute. I've got one more question for you. I always like to know, what is it that kind of gives you hope, or what keeps you coming back to car washing?
I think what I really like, and I hope it doesn't change in this industry, I enjoy the fact that, for example, after I went with Mark 7, that I still maintained a really good relationship with the people at Sonny's. And my vendors, Bryant and the guys from STI and AutoVac, they're smaller companies. And I think I'm going to try to keep that tradition of working with people that aren't huge, that aren't, big corporate companies like that's been done in some of these other places. And, try to build this business and build it with people like that are committed to seeing both of us do well.
Frank, I love your washes. I love hearing your story. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with everybody today and being on this program.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And again, it was because of the impression I got from going to that first trade show and the quality of the people from the trade show that really got me excited about joining. So thank you.
Hey, everybody watching at home, we're going to let you get back to the business of washing cars as well. There's one thing that you need to do this week when you're out there and this weekend when you're washing cars: keep it clean.